All right, guys, I have remote viewed what's underneath Giza, and I'm going to share what I've seen and what I'm downloading from the Alliance Council. All right, so most of this came to me through telepathy and through one of the most remarkable meditation experiences and remote viewing sessions I've ever had. And so, what I'm being shown is what's under the Khafre pyramid of Giza, and we're going to talk about the Sphinx too because they've shown me more juicy stuff. So, what's under Khafre? There are these plasma crystalline pillars. It's a crystal quartz, but there's plasma as well, so there's a light component to it. And there's a metal also that's Atlantean called orichalcum. I've never heard of it. We don't have it in our periodic table. And then a monoatomic gold as well. And so the gold is fascinating. Egyptians were obsessed with gold, right? Well, guess what? It was the pre-Egyptians who were obsessed with gold. And the Egyptians understood that there was an importance in the gold because between the plasma, the crystal, and the gold, it holds codes. It's like a codex, like a library. So these pillars served as almost like energy generators, like tuning forks. So they can attune the frequency of the planet. And they connected to Teotihuacan and the Bosnian pyramid and also the pyramid in Indonesia. And so it acted as a harmonizer for Earth's energy. Also, and this is interesting because I did a quantum healing hypnosis session with Allison Coe in 2019, and I went inside of a planet, and I didn't understand it. Now I understand what I was shown. They were Anunnaki who I met. They were like pretty tall, like 12 feet tall. I don't know, maybe I was formless. It was hard for me to tell, but they were really tall. And they had a bird-like head. And they showed me these pillars, these crystalline pillars. And then there were many Anunnaki and other beings as well that looked hominoid, but not human like us. And they were holding almost like what I perceived as divining rods, like they were gold rods in their hands. So when people or beings would weave through these pillars, they would generate an energy, and they could actually control the energy field. To either cross into other dimensions, communicate with other beings, sort of like almost like a time travel, but on a large scale, not just like an individual, but a collective time travel, and could shift the energy fields on the planet. They could control weather patterns. They could, activate DNA. I mean, it was unbelievable what this potential holds. But not just that. In it itself is the codex of our history, of the origins of the seeding of our planet and of our human history. So this is massive, you guys. This is like, I don't know if they're going to even get to this because I don't think that science and lidar is going to be able to tune into this stuff. But I'm sure other remote viewers will chime in here. Now let's talk about the Sphinx, because under the Sphinx there's a vault. And it has all the history that we need to know. Everyone says, God, it's so wild that there's, here we have the Mayans and there's no remnants of them. Well, hello, they just quantum leapt into another dimension. That's why there's no remnants. They just literally moved into another dimension. So they went from like 3D to 5D, just pretty much like a choice point happened. They chose collectively and poof, they were off. And the same can happen for planet Earth in the next 3 to 5 years with enough people awaken it. But if enough people aren't awakened, then we're not going to collectively quantum leap. But that's another video to come. But anyway, so back to the Sphinx. This vault, it's like a chamber, and the chamber itself is this incredible crystalline plasma quartz, and it itself has the memory in it of our human history. So yes, there are scrolls, and there are paintings, and God, the light language that they're showing me is on these. It's like it's a different form of language that I don't think we can read, but we can transcribe intuitively when we see it, and it's more about remembering. because we all have this codex within us. And so while all this is happening now, is because we are in the Great Awakening. We are literally moving into an entirely new dimensional shift. Multiple timelines are folding in on themselves, and we are at a timeline choice point. Humanity is either going to choose to stay in the matrix, in the third density, controlled by the controllers, which is really evil and dark, you guys. I mean, this is like Archon Draco. It's not happy, happy, joy, joy. But people are addicted to drama and trauma. And if people aren't willing to heal their trauma and release drama and stop consenting, then, if they're not willing, they're going to stay in the matrix, and they're choosing that. But I'm not choosing that. I think a lot of you watching this are probably ready and willing to opt out and move into the next dimension, the fifth density, which is light and love and healing and so expansive and telepathic and just amazing. So it's happening now, that this discovery is happening now, or at least this information is starting to come out, because we're starting to remember. When I did this remote viewing, I'll tell you what I did. I went into the pyramid and I sat sort of between the pyramid and the pillars. And I, all of a sudden, a chrysanthemum opened up over my crown, and it expanded like a ball, like a torus. And the toroidal energy flow through my body extended up 3 kilometers and down 3 kilometers through the pyramid and through what's beneath the pyramid. And I do believe that pyramids emit a frequency. They're frequency generators, but they're also frequency harnessers. So they ground the energy into the planet as well, so that we can, it's a receiver and a transmitter. And I think Tesla understood all of this. Tesla knew this. So much of what he created was based on a lot of this information, this insight that somehow he intuited, because, well, hello, Tesla was definitely not from here either. And I think he had a lot of different beings kind of facilitating him, sort of like the ones that I'm communicating with. They're so willing to work with us. We just have to open our hearts and open our minds and stop trying to control the narrative ourselves. But so when I released and surrendered to this experience, I felt this vibration. And it's almost like when you drive by a wind turbine field, that like humming, that buzzing that happens. Whoa, it was so intense. Like I could feel that like whomp, whomp, whomp. But I was vibrating too. And then you had this like toroidal energy moving through and around me, and it was crazy. But it's interesting because in 2019, I did a quantum healing hypnosis session with Allison Coe, and that session, when I visited the Anunnaki, I had there was a sound. There was that whomp, whomp. And so many people are talking about how sound is the future. Sound is an architect. And I never believed, when I went to University of Colorado and I studied Egyptology and anthropology, I just didn't believe the stories. I didn't believe the narratives of how we constructed these incredible pyramids. And I've traveled to 42 countries. I've been to a lot of ancient sites and monoliths, and it doesn't make sense. Like, nothing, no technology we have now can create that, or even move these stones, hundreds of miles or hundreds of kilometers. It just doesn't make sense. And also a lot of the particles that we found in the stone in Egypt isn't even from there. It's not even near the site. So they used sound for transportation and moving and levitation. So a lot of what we understand about building is just totally archaic. And the ancient archaic ways were using sound and plasma and metals, did these different, I really want to look into this auric calcium, I think is what they told me. And then gold. Gold is a big part of it. And of course, crystals. So hopefully this sheds some insight. I'm going to keep going back in and learning more, but I just couldn't wait to share for those of you who are really digging into this and excited. So we're in the awakening. It's so exciting. And have fun with your meditations. Put yourself in the pyramid. It might activate you. It's definitely been activating my DNA. And by the way, we originally had 12 strands of DNA. And I felt that in the pyramid, that my 12 strands were getting activated. So peace and love, my friends.